All right, today we're going to dive into the life of a really fascinating figure, a guy who basically traded a life of total luxury and nobility for one of radical poverty, and whose vision, believe it or not, still shapes the lives of millions of people today. We're talking about Saint Dominic.
So let's start off with a bit of a puzzle. What in the world do astronomers, people staring at the stars, have in common with people who've been falsely accused of a crime? I mean, they seem like two completely, totally unrelated groups, right?
Well, believe it or not, the answer is they share the exact same patron saint, Saint Dominic. Pretty surprising, isn't it? It really makes you wonder, how does one person end up representing such different causes? We're going to get into exactly why as we unpack his incredible story.
Okay, first things first. Where did this guy even come from? To really get a handle on his mission, we've got to go all the way back to his beginnings, back to his journey from nobility to, well, something completely different. So he was born way back in 1170 in Spain to a pretty high-up noble family with actual ties to royalty. Fast forward to 1206, and he's already making big moves, founding a convent for nuns, and, we still celebrate his feast day every single year on August 8th.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at this contrast. On one side, you've got his birthright, Spanish nobility, connected to the actual ruling family. Born with a silver spoon. But then, on the other side, look at the path he chose for himself, traveling around barefoot, living a life of complete poverty. That is a massive, massive shift. And it just begs the question, why would he do that?
So really, what could possibly make a man with all that privilege just give it all up? Well, the answer seems to be what he felt was his true calling, a mission straight from heaven.
Yeah, according to the tradition, this wasn't just some personal decision he made. It was seen as a divine task, like a direct order he got in a vision. This wasn't his plan. It was a mission that was handed to him. And this right here is the heart of the whole story. The tradition says that in an apparition, Mother Mary gave him the Rosary and told him to teach people this devotion. That's it. That was his core instruction. It became the absolute central pillar of his entire life's work. You can really break his mission down into two parts. See, it wasn't just a command. It came with a promise. So step 1 was simple. Preach and teach the Rosary. And step 2? That was the big promise. If you do this, your efforts are going to be blessed with a whole lot of success.
Okay, so how does a heavenly vision like that actually turn into action on the ground? It's one thing to have a vision, but it's a whole other thing to actually live it out. Let's take a look at his mission of preaching in poverty.
So, Dominic didn't try to do this all by himself. No way. He was clearly a charismatic guy, and he gathered this group of preachers around him. But these weren't just any preachers. These were people who were willing to go all in on his radical vision. I'm talking traveling the roads barefoot, embracing total poverty, just like he was doing. And while he was building up his own order, he also set up that convent for nuns that we mentioned earlier. And get this, in what is just a super cool historical crossover, he met and became really good friends with another giant of that time, Saint Francis of Assisi. Seriously, can you even imagine the conversations those two must have had?
All right, so the really crucial thing here isn't just about what he did, but how his actions created this legacy that has lasted for centuries. Let's dig into what's been called his genius for transformation.
So what exactly made him so influential? Well, his genius was all about his ability to renew and transform traditions that were already in place. See, he didn't just invent everything from scratch. He took what was already there, things like monastic customs and prayer, and just breathed new life into them, gave them a new purpose that was way more accessible to everyday people. And this might be his biggest, most enduring legacy of all. He was the first person to preach the Rosary not just as a string of prayers you repeat, but as a form of meditative prayer. Now, why was that so revolutionary? Because it completely transformed the Rosary into a tool for personal reflection, a way to think deeply about the life of Christ. It took this deep spiritual practice and made it accessible to everyone, not just monks in a monastery. It gave people a way to connect with their faith on a much more profound personal level.
And that brings us all the way back to that first question about astronomers and the falsely accused. So what's the connection? Well, it all boils down to one powerful concept, truth. You see, Dominic founded the Order of Preachers, and their official motto is Veritas, which is just Latin for truth. He dedicated his entire life to it, so it makes sense, right? The falsely accused pray to him for the truth of their innocence to be revealed, and astronomers, who are literally searching for the fundamental truths of the cosmos, they look to him as well. There's even a cool legend that a star was seen on his forehead at his baptism, kind of sealing that connection. His whole legacy is a testament to pursuing truth, which leaves us with one last big thought. How can one person's focused vision for truth create a legacy that not only lasts for centuries, but manages to connect the courtroom all the way to the cosmos?